responsible for the construction, rehabilitation, and building of roads, schools, hospitals, and the provision of other basic amenities. Is their responsibility strictly to amend and make or repeal laws? Are there different types of bills considered by the legislators? This and many other questions would be our focus on this episode of the program Inside the Assembly. As the leader of the Enugu State House of Assembly and the member representing Udenu constituency, would enlighten and educate us on the roles, responsibilities, and duties of the legislative arm of government with the aim of addressing certain misconceptions. Thanks for joining us again on your favorite legislative program on ETV channel 50 Inside the Assembly, a program that informs and enlightens you on the activities of the Enugu State House of Assembly and standing committees oversight functions. I am Judith Ohini.
My best understanding the duties of the legislature, member of House of Assembly, is to make sure that the laws being enacted comes to the advantage of the people she or he represents, so that those people will not suffer any disadvantage of that law. They have duties like, why do election, people vote for people, so that for the welfare of the people. They look at the welfare of the people, condition of the people, how people feel, how people are going, what people are going to.
Our responsibility, oversight, and the presenting, and the oversight, the representatives, and the what again. I think to make sure that what is supposed to come to our constituency should not happen.
Duties and responsibilities of a member in the House of Assembly. Number one is to take care of the people who elected them and make sure that they perform their duties as the elected members of the House of Assembly, in the sense that making life better by building a good road, good hospitals, electricity, in the sense that they will know that there is need for a good government and a good governance.
I know that the first duty is to make law. The primary duty is to make law. You understand? Yes. So, subsequent one is like if there is a project that they pass in their house. You understand? So the duty is to oversight it.
Of the program Inside the Assembly, we have the member representing the Enugu constituency in the Enugu State House of Assembly and the leader of the House, the Right Honorable Ikechukwu Militus Izugu. Thank you for joining us on this program today, sir.
Thank you for having me. Welcome to Enugu State House of Assembly.
Who is a legislator and what are his duties and responsibilities?
A legislator is a lawmaker, is his or her people's representative, and then you ask what is he expected to do. Basically, a legislature has three main functions. One is representation. For instance, I'm the person representing Udenu constituency in this State House of Assembly. So I'm here to represent their interests. That is one. Secondly, I'm here to help in making laws by way of new laws, amending existing one, or even repealing an existing one. And thirdly, as legislators, we carry out oversight functions. Because the framers of the Constitution, they were so wise, and that's why we have separation of powers. You have three arms of government. You have the legislature, you have the executive, you have the judiciary. The legislatures make the laws, the executive executes the laws, and then the judiciary interprets. So in our carrying out our oversight function as legislators, we ensure or try to ensure that money meant for the development activities in the states as contained in the budget are used as enshrined in the budget. to ensure that the state gets value for the money spent from the taxpayers.
What primary responsibility are they expected from you, or do you owe them as a member representing them in the Enugu State House of Assembly?
The primary thing is that they need to know, because if you send somebody for an errand, there is need that the person comes back and tells you what he or she achieved from that message. So I've got to let them know the activities, what is happening here, so that in so doing, if they have any input, and of course they should always have, because that's why I'm here, I carry their input to this State House of Assembly in whatever I am doing. So I'm not here just by my own authority. And that's why if you are listening when members are making contributions, they usually say, I am here by virtue of the mandate of my so constituency.
In all of these responsibilities and duties you've mentioned, you didn't make mention of anything that has to do with the construction of roads, the rehabilitation of roads, the building of schools, hospitals, as a lot of persons out there believe that these are part of your responsibilities. I don't know, is it a misconception, or these are part of your duties and responsibilities?
It's a misconception, and then it's due to lack of information. Because people talk of, I believe what you mean is a constituency project or something. You know, when I was starting, I did say that there is separation of powers. The legislatures make the law and the executives execute. For instance, at the last quarter of every year, His Excellency the Governor presents the budget to the State House of Assembly. We usually consider it, and most times by February of the following year, the budget is passed. And this budget contains the plans of the government, which actually includes all these things you've mentioned: roads, hospitals, schools, bridges, etc., etc., payment of salaries and all that. Then what happens is that when the budget is presented and passed, is for the executives to go and execute. Then we go out and carry out an oversight function. That's where the separation of power comes in, to ensure that they are executing the projects in line with the budget provisions. Indirectly, we contribute. One, if we don't pass the budget, none of those things will be done, because the governor cannot spend money unless the budget is passed. That is the authorization. So you could say that we initiated by giving the governor the power to spend. Then he has his commissioners, chairman of parastatals, and others that work under him to ensure that these things are actualized. As they are doing it, for instance, after 3 months, say by March, we have various standing committees. We have subcommittee on works, we have subcommittee on environment, we have subcommittee on water. You know, as we have ministries, so also we have house standing committees. So after some time, the various committees would go out there to the field to oversight what the executives, what they are doing, to ensure that things are done accordingly. So it will just be like the apostles. You know, there is this portion of the Bible whereby in a certain day they spoke in different languages, but then they will tell you, and it is true, that it's the same spirit. Even though there are 3 arms of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, we all work in unison to ensure that the people are taken care of, because the essence of government is security and welfare of the people. And you find out that there is a kind of all hands being on deck to ensure that these things are done.
There is very minimal knowledge of the functions of the legislator. In your programs, in your agendas as legislators, is there a way you go down to the grassroots to educate your constituents? Because if this kind of question and this kind of misconception is coming up, it feels like they don't understand what is going on. What do you do to enlighten them about all of these things?
Yeah, I agree with you. And if people are not given the right information, of course, you won't blame such a person if he or she takes a wrong conclusion. But there is a demarcation. For instance, those at the federal level, at the point of preparing the budget, they are allowed to bring projects in their constituency. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people are making. At the National Assembly, that's the Senate and House of Rep, they are allowed to bring projects in their constituency. For instance, I will say in Udenu constituency, I'll be given a ceiling of, say, 10 million, bring what you want done in your constituency. But this is for those at the federal level. Then if the person says, okay, I want a health center to be built, that health center will be in the budget. It will be captured in the budget. But because there is separation of powers, even that person at the federal level will not be given that cash to go and do the job. It will be captured, and the relevant ministry will be given that money. It will be part of that ministry, for instance, Federal Ministry of Health, because we are talking of health center. That 10 million will be in the Federal Ministry of Health or whatever under them in that department. They are the ones that will now go and get the contractor. Even the person that said, I want this done, is not the person that is going to get the contractor. The contractor will go through procurement process, whereby other contractors will equally bid, and any contractor that the federal government awards the contract will be given the money to go and execute the contract as that lawmaker's constituency project. He won't be given any cash, any money. But in our own case, at the state level, we don't even go and say, this is Project A for Ikechukwu Ezugwu representing Udenu constituency. Rather, what we do of late, since the inception of the administration of His Excellency the Governor, Right Honorable Ifeanyi Ugwan, is that stakeholders from the various local governments would always be advised to go down to the grassroots, whereby the Igwes, town union presidents, church leaders, community leaders, vigilantes, everybody will gather in our town center, our village square, and we said this year the government said we should bring something worth 100 million that will be done here. For instance, in last dispensation, they said first tranche, 100 million for roads, 50 million for roads in every local government. So various leaders in the so-called local government will now go and agree on a particular project. So there won't be any project I would say is mine. It's now all inclusiveness. About my first town hall meeting, one woman from one community stood up and then she apologized when I explained to them the limitations of a lawmaker, because down there they would expect that you should pay their school fees, settle hospital bills, even at times help in ensuring that somebody's marriage is actually concluded by way of arranging money and all this. Though as Africans, yes, we should be our brother's keepers, but that's not one's constitutional responsibility. But naturally, it's always good to ensure that those around you are happy if you have the wherewithal. So the woman said that without this explanation, in fact, that I should please forgive her, because before now she has been telling all the people around their place that the money meant for their health center and borehole, that it was given to me as the person representing them, and these things were not done. So that's the essence of, maybe, as I told you, if you are sent to an errand, you go back and tell people, so that in the course, they will ask you questions, and when you explain to them, everybody will be on the same page.
Let me take you back a little. You made mention of the fact that some of your primary functions and responsibility is making, amending, and repealing laws. Now, before laws are made, they are called bills. Are there separate kind of bills?
Sure. You have a private member bill, and you have an executive bill.
When we say private member bill and executive bill, what do we mean?
Let me start with the executive bill, because that is the one that I am the arrowhead. As the leader of the House, I am the one that presents all the executive bills. And these are bills from the executive arm. Executive bill, executive arm. The bills that comes from the government. And if you find out from your experience here, you find out that it's, most of the bills here are executive bills. Because you know that laws are not cast on stone. And as time changes, there will be need to amend the law here and there. And that's why there are so many of the executive bills. And as at May this year, that is 2 years, within the past 2 years that ended by May, we had about 26 executive bills. So these are bills that usually come from executive after ESCO memo. The Attorney General forwards such bill to me. And then as the leader of House, because you cannot present any bill unless you are a member of Enugu State House of Assembly. So it feels good to be a legislator. So the executive can only present their bill through me, being the leader of the House. And the executive bills are faster because unlike private member bills that you have to publish in national newspapers before they are brought to the House for first reading, a member can equally sponsor a bill for instance, an NGO. If an NGO wants any bill presented, of course they cannot come and present because they are not honorable members. Such bills are also private member bills, which can be sponsored through a member.
What other general knowledge of the legislature do you think people out there are lacking in and you'd want to enlighten them on?
The fact is that, one, this is a public place. People are free to come in and observe what we are doing. Secondly, any person that feels so aggrieved, maybe on an issue that his representative cannot handle, we have a committee on ethics, privileges, and public petitions. Such person can forward to the Speaker, who will accordingly refer it to the relevant Committee of Ethics and Privileges to ensure that nobody is unduly marginalized. Honorable Legislator, I know you will. Onye ndị obodo ha wepụtara ka ọ bịa nọchiri anya ha n'ụlọ imebi iwu ebe a. Ka ọ na-anọchi anya ha, ọ ga na-eme ka a na-emebi iwu. And imebi iwu dị n'udo. O nwere ike ọ bụrụ iwu ọfụ, nwee ike ọ bụrụ iwu dịdo adọ asị ka akpa ya aka ka ọ dị ụra dị ọma. Ọ bụkwara iwu nke dịdo adọ asị ka ewopie otekwu iwu ọfụ wee nọchie ya. Ọzọkwa bụ na onye nwa ka anyị na-ebe a ga na-enyekwa anya ka mara ewepụta ego, ndị gọọmenti wepụta ego na-aga arụ ụzọ, ọ na-aga egwu ebe a ga na-agbata mmiri, ma ọ na-aga arụ ụlọ ọgwụ. Ndị otu m na-enyekwa aka ka ha jegede ka afụkwa na ego ewepụta na ọkụ ha si wee rụọ ka eji wee rụọ. Mmadụ ncha nwere ọrụ ọ na-arụ, because ịbịa na ka eme gọọmenti enwe ndị ọbụla na-emebi iwu, ya bụ anyị nwee ndị ụlọ ikpe ọha nwa na-akọwa n'otu a ka iwu dị ma ọ bụ na-enwe mgbaruju anya. Nwekwe ndị nke executive, ya bụ ndị otu nke gọvanọ ọha nwa na-eme eje na-arụpụta ọrụ ha na-arụ arụ. Ihe nke anyị na-eme bụ ọ bụ na gọvanọ bịa weta akwụkwọ si na achọ ka a na-ewepụ ego a ka ejiri ego a mee ha ya ihe na-akpọ bọjetị. Anyị na-eche anya asị oke si jiri mebie. Oge ndị otu gọvanọ nọ na ministry, ma Ministry of Works ma Water Resources ma Health, ha jebe ruwe ha nwa, anyị ejiekwe fụ na ihe ha na-arụ bụ ihe asị ka ha arụ. So ịmasị na anyị nwa esoro na-arụ, because anyị nwa na-ewepụta asị oke unu were ego aga rụrụ ya, eje rụbakwa anyị nwa jee fụkwa na ihe a na-arụkwa bụ ihe asị ka arụ. iwu do n'edu o nwere iwu ọ bụ ndị executive ndị otu gọvanọ na-eweta ya ihe a na-akpọ executive bill nke nwa ọmụnwa na-ewepụ ya n'ebe anyị na-emebi iwu so na ndị gọọmenti na-asụkwa ka eme nka ka eme nka nwekwa ọzọ ọ bụ onye chọọ o weta n'aka ya ka na-akpọ private member bill. So ihe dị iche na nke ndị executive na-eweta na nke private member bill bụ na nke ndị executive ada egburu oge karịa, but ọ bụ nke onye nọ n'onwe ya na-eweta ọ ga-ede na newspaper mmadụ nchafụọ ya before ebido wee tinye ebe ọnụ ya.
We have been talking with the leader of the Enugu State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Ikechukwu Militus Ezugu, who enlightened us on the rules, responsibilities, and duties of a legislator. In doing so, he corrected the misconception that legislators are responsible for the construction and rehabilitation of roads, schools, hospitals, and other forms of social amenities, but does not rule out the fact that, out of goodwill, they could assist members of their various constituencies and members of the public when the need arises. And that's the much we can take on this episode of the program Inside the Assembly. Remember, it is your #1 legislative program on ETV Channel 50 that informs, enlightens, and educates you on the activities of the legislative arm of government and various standing committees oversight functions. More from the 6th Assembly would come your way every Mondays and Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. respectively on ETV Channel 50, and Fridays for fresh episodes at 6 p.m. Thanks for watching and join us again. I am Judith Rohini.